Saving files can be a bit of a mystery on the school network, so I'd like to take a moment to kind of review all of the options that you have with regard to where your file might go when you hit the save button. Microsoft has kind of made it so that it automatically puts files someplace, places for you, and sometimes that's convenient and sometimes it's not. In the school situation, I'm going to need you to save your files to a very specific location, shared folder between the two of us so that I can access those things. In addition, if we're working remotely, then you're going to need to save your files in a different way and do a cloud-based sharing system. So I'd like to kind of go through and take a look at all of the different saving options and all the different drives so that they make a little bit more sense to you. All right, let me just close out these windows and start from scratch. So there's a couple ways you can get to access all of these drives. I usually just come down to the window here and right-click and go to File Explorer. You can also hit this PC. There's a number of ways to get to the same place. One thing I would warn you about a little bit is the quick access can be confusing because how it populates this, I'm not really sure. I always feel safer using the actual icons over here in this window. And we'll go through and discuss each one of those a little bit and the pros and cons of where you might save things. So first off, you'll notice that these little icons, some of them have a green cable attached to them. And all of these down in the bottom here are network drives, meaning they're hard drives that are wired to the school network. So the only time you can access these is if you are logged into the school network, and then you can access these hard drives. These all reside physically in the middle school. There is a Ethernet cables in the lab. There's also Wi-Fi throughout the whole school. And then there's a fiber optic cable that runs from the high school over to the middle school. So when you put your stuff, your files, your data in these drives, you can access them pretty quickly and you can access them from any place within the network. The drive that we use, and in a previous video I showed you how to make a folder within the student folders, all these folders reside, as I mentioned, over at the middle school. So they're relatively fast. The advantage of this system is that you can access it from within the school network. You don't need to be logged on to a specific computer, and it's relatively fast. This one right here, the Windows C drive, is your local hard drive. So I'm going to grab my camera here for a second. At this point, physically, it's in the box in the computer right there. So when you save something to your Windows, and I'm going to go into users here and go into Darien. This is the documents folder. If I save something in here, unless I have synchronized my hard drive to go to some Google Drive or another location, I'm only going to access these files from this computer. If I go home, I can't get to this stuff. If I log on to a different computer within the district, I won't be able to find these files. So the advantage is it's the fastest access for large files. If you're editing video or something like that, that would be an advantage. The advantage is if you don't have your computer connected to the network, these are safe locations. The disadvantage is you can't get to it as quickly. Let's take a look at some others. So if we go back here and take a look at this Google file stream, where is that drive located? Well, I don't know where the company Google houses their hard drives, but in order for me to access this drive, I need to have access to the internet, and I need to have a robust connection to that internet if I'm moving big files. These files are, they could be located in Nebraska. I don't really know the home location of my Google Drive, but it could be thousands of miles away. It could be anywhere around the world. They could be multiple locations. The advantage of saving things to a cloud-based, whether it's a Google Drive or OneDrive, is I can access them anywhere I have access to the internet. I could access them through my phone, I can access them through my laptop at home, and whether I'm logged on at school. So it makes sense to have a lot of my work saved to the cloud. The disadvantage is if my internet goes down, or if I'm using large files, I need to, it's going to take some time. Some of the files that are cloud-based need to be downloaded before they're opened, which is why for my classes, most of your work is saved on the school network drive because I can open it immediately. I don't need to download it first. I'll talk more about that in class. So let's go back and take a look at the Google Drive again. In addition to having my drive, I have a shared drive, and within there you can create folders. Another way to access your Google Drive is to go through your browser, through Chrome. I'll talk about that in just a second. Let me go back to one more example I wanted to show you in terms of drives is I have this D drive right here, and that is going to disappear in a second. And if you look down in the corner of your screen and look at the picture of me for a moment, I'm holding up a flash drive, and I suspect that all of you have used a USB flash drive. What are the advantages of that? Well, you can take it with you anywhere you want to go. In some ways, it's more protected because it's, nobody can hack into your computer and access your USB drive if it's not in the computer. So, there are some pros and cons, and you don't need access to the internet and so forth. So it's a safe backup for your files. I use USB drives quite a bit. The disadvantages, they are usually a little bit smaller than your hard drive, although the USB drives have gotten pretty big. Another disadvantage is they're small and you could lose it, or you can send it through the washing machine, which I've done plenty of times. So USB drive, local drive, network drives, cloud-based drives. Gets a bit confusing. They're all over the place. To access that cloud-based drive, as I mentioned, there's another way to get there. And I can get there by going right into Google and going to my apps and then going to my Google Drive. And you can see that in here, I've got all of the same files that I showed you before, but I also have some shared folders. And when we went with distance learning in the spring, you can see that many of my students, all of my students, created a folder that they shared with me. And so I could look, for example, in a folder and see that this student has a bunch of images, which I can see, but they also, in this folder, they have all of their SolidWorks files, because this student was one of my engineering students. Now, if I double click on this, it's not going to open, which is a bit of a headache for me trying to grade your work. So in order for me to grade this student's work, I need to download each of these files, or I would need to download this entire folder. And that's what I did during distance learning. I came in, I went into the shared folder, and then I downloaded the stuff so it resided locally on my computer. I had to extract it and then use it. But this is a way for us to be able to share work via the cloud. And for those students who are doing remote learning right now, this is what we're going to do. So I'll have another video to show you how to set up one of these shared folders if you don't know how to do that. So again, this video is just kind of covering where does my stuff go when I save it, why would I want to save it in these different locations, and what are the pros and cons of saving it either to the cloud, to a flash drive, to a local drive, or to a network drive. Thanks for watching.